And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Friday, Halloween, 1:07 in the afternoon, and it's a little chilly out there. Temperatures only in the upper 30s, and we'll make it up maybe a degree or two more. The rain has stopped for now, but there's still a little bit of rain just to the north of the FM area moving southwards. So, again, expecting a few light sprinkles as we head through the afternoon, but shouldn't be anything too bad. We've even had reports of a few snowflakes mixing in from time to time, but no measurable snow out of this. And by the time the trick-or-treaters are ready to hit the streets, it looks like it should be mainly dry. Again, we can't rule out a sprinkle or two, but all in all, not a bad Halloween. We've had a lot worse around here in the past, so we'll take it. Snow-free and, for the most part, precip-free as well. Bridgette, how's your afternoon going?
Well, happy Halloween to everybody out there who is going to hopefully enjoy the day. Looking forward to seeing what trick-or-treaters come out to do this evening. I mean, it's kind of nice that it's a Friday night. There might be kids out a little bit later. Hopefully They're not having to worry about any more rain showers at this point, and they can truly enjoy a good, happy Halloween.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And if you like this weather, it's not going to stick around for long because we're going to see much improved weather as we head into the upcoming weekend. And I'm sure people want to get out and about. There's not many weekends left where we can actually get out and enjoy the weather. This weekend should be one of them. We're looking at cloudy skies for the rest of the day. And again, we'll still see a few more isolated sprinkles or light showers as we head through the afternoon. Highs today only about 42 with a north wind at 10 to 20. Mainly cloudy tonight. We'll shut the precip down, lows down to 30. And the weekend, we'll start to see a little more sunshine. Light winds on Saturday under partly cloudy skies. We'll have highs in the mid-40s. And then breezy conditions develop as we head into Sunday, with highs right around the low 60s. Looking nice on Sunday. Again, the winds will be a little strong out of the west-southwest, gusting over 30. But, yeah, you know what? When you're in the low 60s, can't complain too much. And then we're kind of up and down in the temperatures next week, with 50s and a few one day maybe close to 60, but kind of that roller coaster ride. Now, towards the end of next week and into anytime after the 6th of the month, which is late next week, I am starting to see, and our models are kind of hinting at this, most of our long-range models, at a pattern change, which will, A, bring us stormier weather, and B, bring us colder weather as well. So something we'll be keeping an eye on. It was kind of only a matter of time before we saw something. I mean, the whole month of October was well above normal, and we're going to start the month of November off like that too. And keep in mind, there's only about, let's assume 3 weeks left typically. And again, the cycle length isn't set, but typically it's around that 40 to 50 day. And so if we don't turn stormy here or more active in this current LRC cycle, that doesn't spell good things for not only the winter, but also going into spring as well. We don't want the dry conditions like we've had over the last 3 weeks. And again, I'm talking here in the FM area. It's been a different story out to our west where they've had plenty of precip out there. So we'll be keeping a close eye on the next couple of weeks around here and see how the new LRC cycle starts to unfold.
Well, once we do see it, I know that you will be planning to announce the dates that people should be looking out for. We'll do your weather special and get the opportunity for folks to just kind of get in tune with the next 6 months of weather, what they should or shouldn't plan for, etc. Right? That'll be a good idea.
Exactly. And, I took a look at the Climate Prediction Center. They've already put out their winter outlook, and I'll be posting that online later today. And it really, somebody asked me, do you agree with what the Climate Prediction Center is saying? I said partially, just partially. And they were predicting a cold and snowy winter for the northern plains. I'm not quite on board with that yet. Let's see how the next couple of weeks go. But right now, I think the colder part, overall, I think our winter is going to be slightly below normal in terms of temperatures, mainly because we're going to have a lot of northwest flow events. And anytime you get those, you get that cold air draining right out of Canada with these clipper systems. So depending on how much of the pattern is that, we know that is going to be part of the LRC pattern is that northwest flow. Typically, that's a cold flow. So we'll see what the next 3 weeks kind of unfold, and then we'll have a better grasp on the rest of the winter. But it does look like it's going to be a little cooler than than normal for this upcoming winter. Precip wise, still
Well,
it's kind of up in the air.
well, and I'm okay with that to an extent, right? We don't have to have just mounds of snow, especially if we're going to freeze up with pretty decent moisture at this point,
Right.
because Mother Nature always rectifies herself. And by the time we get into the spring, she'll probably bring us some rainfall, which may or may not be timely. We don't know what
Mm-hmm.
that looks like quite yet,
Right.
but we'll find out.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well, if you have questions about any of the weather or situations that are going on in the weather around the country, you can certainly call us on the JLA Insurance phone line at 701-293-9000. We love that you watch us on our Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV live streams. You can do that every day. Or if you miss an episode, go back, find us. You just never know what fun things might have been going on. And you can also send us emails. We use the Superior Grain Equipment inbox for Weather and Ag in Focus. And I'm at ag@flagfamily.com. Dean is weather@flagfamily.com. We'd love to see your messages and answer your questions on air. And don't forget, with Superior Grain Equipment, you can protect your farm's future with their grain storage, drying, and handling solutions. As the show was starting, I heard Austin doing the news for us, and he said there was a grain dryer fire this morning near Dalton, Minnesota. Well, someone might be looking for a new grain dryer, and Superior Grain Equipment would be a place to go to do that. So thanks to all the people who are going to bat for everybody each day when it comes to farming. Today's all about pumpkins, right? So how good are we at pumpkin facts, guys? What do you think?
Not good, but let's see. Give it a
Okay.
shot.
I'm
Give it a
the
shot.
pumpkin
All
master.
right.
Ask me a question about a pumpkin right now. I dare you.
Okay.
All right, and I will, just for the two of you, how many different varieties of pumpkins exist? Now,
Ooh.
we're talking colors, orange, red, yellow, green, but they also can be named things like hooligan, cotton candy, orange smoothie. How many different varieties exist?
I'm going to just go out on a limb and say 15. Addison?
One, they're all pumpkins.
What?
And they're all orange. You
I
can't
appreciate
fool me.
the fact that you did that with utter confidence gets you at least a half a point.
I'm the certified pumpkin
okay.
master.
Well, there are 45 different pumpkin varieties,
Whoa.
gentlemen.
I would have guessed that if I guessed higher.
Yeah, yes, well, yeah. Probably would have, right?
45 was at least in
Okay.
my top 50 guesses.
Is a pumpkin a vegetable or a fruit?
Now,
What's a pumpkin?
I would say vegetable. I would say vegetable.
Okay.
Addison?
I'm stern in
Addison,
my ways. I
you've heard me
won't be fooled by the answers here. It's clearly a pumpkin.
Addison has heard me record this answer before. You come on, you're not going to get this one right?
What do you mean I'm not going to get it right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
You're going to look at me and tell me that a pumpkin's not a pumpkin? You're going to tell me that I'm
I'm
wrong?
going to look at you. I'm going to tell you it's a fruit, pal. And there was a reason Dean was right, and that is the way we eat pumpkin, we consume it as a savory, as a side dish that's mostly thought of as a vegetable, but it truly is a fruit. And technically, every single part of that pumpkin is edible. The skin, the leaves, the flowers, the pulp, the seeds, and the stems.
I've seen
Really?
most people around here. I think most people here only consume pumpkin and Starbucks lattes. You can't fool me.
Yeah.
Fake pumpkin fans.
I'll be honest, if I was a cow, I'd probably like the skin a lot more than if I were to eat it
Right.
today for any particular reason. Pumpkins are 92% water.
Oh.
Let that sink in. And naturally low in energy density, they are a source of potassium, vitamin A, and beta carotene. So maybe they shouldn't all go to jack-o'-lanterns. We could be eating some. Does anybody remember what's the state that raises the most pumpkins in the U.S.?
Oh, boy. Oh, the pumpkin capital of the U.S. It's a southern state, correct?
You grew up in that state.
Oh, it is Illinois. All right.
It's Illinois, followed by Indiana and Pennsylvania. And we are well aware of the giant pumpkins because we have talked to the gentleman over in Eagan, Minnesota, who has raised them before, and they can get to be like almost a ton. It's just incredible the weight that you can actually raise a pumpkin to if you're using the giant pumpkin seeds, etc. So after you've overdosed on Halloween candy, gotten your fill, remember that this Sunday we have to turn back our clocks, daylight saving time. So see you all on Monday when you're completely discombobulated about the time change. I'm sorry. Best of luck.
I just want to know why it has to happen at 2 a.m.
Could happen earlier if you'd like.
I think they should put
Just
it right in the
set your
middle of
clocks
everyone's.
to whenever.
I think they should put it right in the middle of everyone's workday, so you have to stay an hour later.
Okay, I read a bit of a craziness about this. All right. In the 50s and 60s, each U.S. locality could start and end daylight savings time when they desired. In 1 year, 23 different pairs of daylight saving times start and end dates were used in Iowa alone. Can you imagine trying to figure out where you were supposed to be and what time if every town had a different daylight savings time start and end?
See, that's the
What
kind
a
of system
mess.
I want.
Right.
I crave that kind of chaos. I want
You
things to
know,
be worse.
I can leave 2 days early for a chiropractor appointment and I can still never arrive there on time. Like I figure I've got 8 minutes, so I have time to wash my pickup, fill gas, and pick up groceries before I get there. So I'm always sliding in sideways at the tail end of like I have to be there in 30 seconds. So this daylight saving time thing would not be helpful to me. Just saying.
Well, we're not doing it to be helpful. We're doing it because it'll be funny.
All right. So speaking of funny, after we hear the livestock update from the American Ag Network, we get to have a little fun with Beth Hill. She's with the North Dakota Forest Service. Yes, to those of you who just went the who, North Dakota has a forestry service. We'll find out more when we return. Have you taken the time to do your fence check assessment with Tech Support Farm? Please make sure that you do. Check out what Chris Sherman has to offer at techsupportfarm.com. And that fence check assessment is rather important to see, are you doing well in your cybersecurity safety for your farm or agribusiness? Chris was just recently featured in The Scoop, which is Farm Journal's daily email that has 3 different short stories in it, and Chris was one of the interviews. So check that out. If you're ever curious about it, you can email me again at the Superior Grain Equipment inbox of ag@flagfamily.com, and I'll make sure to share that link with you. Our guest today is Beth Hill, and she is with the North Dakota Forestry Service because, Beth, a lot of people would say, what forest? So tell us more.
Yeah, we get that a lot. A lot of people confuse us for the U.S. Forest Service, but no, we're the State Forest Service. We are oriented under North Dakota State University, so it's almost like we're kind of like a branch of extension, but we're completely separate agencies. But yeah, we have a number of programs that are helpful to our communities, our homeowners, and our landowners across the state in relation to their forest resources.
So where are you? When I think about forests in North Dakota, I immediately go to Botno because wasn't that the state forestry school at one time, et cetera? And so what are the areas of the state in which you cover and have offices and that type of thing?
That's a great question. So yeah, like you said, the State School of Forestry was once Botno or Dakota College at Botno. So we started up there. We were affiliated with them. I don't have the dates for you off the top of my head, but we think of the different forest resources across North Dakota. Our native forest would be like up in Botno, the Turtle Mountains. We also have the Pembina Gorge up by Walhalla. We have the Cheyenne River State Forest and that area down in kind of by Lisbon. We have an office down there as well. And then we also have offices on campus at NDSU in Fargo. And then we have a bigger office over here in Bismarck, which is where I'm located. And then we also think about other types of forests that we have across the state. We have our riparian forests, which are the trees that occur along our river systems. And I would say overall, that's the largest portion of forest that we have across the state. They're just very kind of segmented across the entire state. And then we have some trees out in the Badlands. We have some native ponderosa pine stands down in Slope County, I believe. And we also service unconventional forest types like our windbreaks and our community forests too.
And Beth, what's the most common type of tree in our state?
Great question. I would say the green ash is.
And hopefully we haven't been losing a lot of them due to the ash borer. I'm not sure. I know that's maybe not your area with invasive insects, or is it? And are there some stats you have for us on what's going on with those trees?
Yeah, I can definitely share what I know. So I'm our outreach and education manager. Primarily, I do communications for agencies. So that includes conversations like this on different media types, managing our website, but I also do education, and that's from pre-K audiences all the way through adult. And so I have to know what our programs are doing to be able to communicate that. So I guess as far as emerald ash borer, it is a hot topic in forestry these days in North Dakota. It's an invasive insect that came over from China. We've been kind of waiting and waiting and waiting for a number of years for it to get here. And then finally last year in August 2024, it was confirmed in Lemoore County at the rest stop just north of Edgeley. And it's also been confirmed in Moorhead, Minnesota. And so we've been kind of keeping an eye on it as far as that. We do a number of extensive, thorough surveys across Fargo, across the Red River. And so far, since that confirmation in Moorhead, there's been no confirmed EAB past the Minnesota border at this time. So, but that doesn't mean that we're just waiting for it to happen. We're also empowering our communities, our landowners, our homeowners to manage their forest for diversity so that when it does come, it's not an if, it's a when. When it does come, our forest resources will be less impacted by this invasive insect that comes in and kills all of our ash trees.
And Beth, we had an email question asking, what is the oldest tree in North Dakota? That's a good question.
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like I actually had a student reach out to me within the past year asking that same question, and by chance I had my notes here right in front of me from that. I believe,
Nice.
I couldn't find exact data. Joe Zalesnik with Extension might know better, but from what I found, there is a bur oak in the Turtle Mountains that they estimate to be about 450 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah, those
That's
bur oaks, they can get to
awesome.
be pretty old.
Now, Beth, is it true that if you cut into a tree and the rings around the tree, I know this is what we were led to believe when we were growing up. If you count the rings on the tree, as you cut it open, that will tell how old the tree is. Is that true, or is that a myth?
You were read correctly. You were led correctly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they grow one ring each year.
Okay.
And if you start at the middle and you count all the way out, you can tell how old the tree is.
Good. My mom and dad weren't lying.
Beth, I know that we have the North Dakota Tree Nursery. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. We have a nursery in Towner.
Mhm.
And does that fall under your department with the North Dakota Forest Service, or is that a separate agency? How do people access the services from either one of you, really?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we have Towner State Nursery up by Towner, North Dakota, just north of town. It's a 160-acre facility, and originally it was established by the U.S. Forest Service in 1935. They halted tree production in 1942 during the Second World War, and then they reopened again under the North Dakota Forest Service in 1951. So that means next year in 2026, we're celebrating 75 years of Towner State Nursery, which is really exciting for us. It's a
Ah,
primarily evergreen conservation tree nursery for the Northern Plains. And since its inception in 1951, we've produced over 90 million trees. We have 5 full-time employees there, and we hire about 30 seasonal workers annually. If you're looking for a job and want a really cool seasonal job, we're always hiring. And it's really cool to see what they have going on. Each season is different. They're busy year round doing different types of lifting and grading and transplanting of those tree seedlings. So, and they always welcome people to come visit and take a tour. They love to talk about what they do. They're very passionate and they're really good at what they do too.
I am currently looking for your website, and I'm going to make sure that I send it over to Addison so we can show that in our live stream
Yeah.
when we come back from our news break. And we want to continue this conversation with Beth Hill. She's with the North Dakota Forest Service. One thing I do have to say, Beth, probably the reason I was most you caught my attention most was because we had a family wedding, and the favors that were given to everybody who attended were live trees from the nursery
Awesome.
in Towner.
Oh, cool.
So
I love that.
that was what it was great. I really appreciated them doing that. So, all right, let's talk more about trees and all things green when we return. Thanks for joining us here at the Coral Laundromat Studio. We love it when you listen in or watch online. Again, Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV. And you can be sure to watch on Wednesday, November 5th, all day long. Not only on air, but live streaming will be our 2025 WDAY Radio Farm Show, 8:30 to 5 o'clock. It'll be filled with everything agriculturally related you might not have even thought you needed to know. Well, even if you're not a farmer, you might want to tune in just for the educational portion of the day. And especially if you do farm, there'll be a lot of things targeted right at you. A farm show where you didn't even have to leave the farm. Please join us on Wednesday. Our guest today is Beth Hill. She is with the North Dakota Forestry Service. Beth, Dean and I get this question fairly regularly when folks say, oh, well, all I see are farmers ripping out shelter belts and getting rid of them. My answer is often, but those shelter belts have a lifespan, and most of them are nearing 100 years old. What comments do you have along those lines, but also advice when we're reconditioning shelter belts?
Yeah, that's a question we often get as well. We think back to the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. We had field windbreaks planted pretty extensively across the Great Plains and in North Dakota to reduce soil erosion on adjacent agricultural lands. And so we saw that trend continue into the 1970s. And then now many of these plantings are beginning to deteriorate due to lack of maintenance, but also just old age. Trees are living things, they all have a lifespan, and a lot of those trees are just reaching the end of that lifespan. And so what we recommend, you don't have to take the tree planting out. And we actually have a program called the Windbreak Renovation Initiative through the North Dakota Forest Service. We get funding from the Outdoor Heritage Fund, very thankfully. And it is a financial assistance program that we offer to landowners who are interested in renovating their deteriorating windbreaks. It's been around for nearly 10 years, and we're on our 4th contract with the North Dakota Heritage Fund. This project helps to ensure that the windbreaks remain a part of North Dakota's conservation heritage and on our landscape, providing those benefits for wind protection, not just to our agricultural lands, but to around farmsteads and homes out on the prairie too. And so it's not just we give you money, we also work with you one-on-one. Our forest stewardship staff require a technical assistance visit ahead of time, and they talk to you about your goals. They talk to you about how much money is feasible for you to spend, what steps to take. It's not just going to be you put the money out, you take all the trees out. It's a step-by-step instruction, and we're there with you every step of the way as well.
You know, when we think about shelter belts, we also don't think about them because of fire protection. And I think that was really proven a year ago when we had the wildfires in western North Dakota. Renovating those shelter belts adds a much bigger benefit by protection. I mean, I think you know where I'm headed with this. Can you expand on that a little bit, why it's so important?
Yeah, and definitely. And when we think back to those fires in October of 2024, we see a lot of those landowners take those trees and have them be a priority for what they want to improve first. And it's really, after all they've endured, the trees are still that high on their priorities on their landscape. And so what we actually did a special sign up for landowners specifically impacted by those October 2024 wildfires out in western North Dakota. And so our staff were visiting landowners right before the winter last year. And it's just really great to see trees help in having that fire protection. And with our agency too, we offer our state firefighters to assist with mutual aid for some of those bigger fires that we've seen. And when we think about fire, it's something that has become more common on the landscape. And really, there's a human component to that we just want to emphasize and stress when it comes to prevention. Because I do a lot with kids. I teach kids about the fire triangle, and each side of the triangle is a different part of what we need to cause a fire. 1 is oxygen, readily available in the air. 2 is fuel. Oftentimes it's in the form of grass on the prairie, but it could be leaves, twigs, anything else that can burn. And then we need that heat source as our final component. And that heat source is where we as humans often come in. And when we look back at the data from previous years, it shows us that the top causes for this in North Dakota consistently year after year is debris burning and equipment use. And so when we're thinking about making our landscape resilient to wildfire. That's definitely a big component of it. Prevention, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, is what I think Benjamin Franklin said. And so if we can do everything we can to prepare our landscape to make it more resilient to wildfire and to make sure that we're being cognizant about our activities out on the landscape, it's going to be so impactful, not just for your own land and your own home and your own safety, but for your neighbors and for the lives of the firefighters that are out there helping you. And most firefighters in North Dakota are volunteers.
And Beth,
That is absolutely true.
where does weather rank in terms of causes for wildfire? In particular, I'm kind of going at lightning. Where does that rank?
Oh, not as often as you would think. That's one of the non-human caused wildfire starts, but 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by people. So it can happen, but more often what we focus on is what can we do to help with that.
So, Beth, I have had 2 listeners text me questions. One of them is from another show host, actually. And I'm not sure if this is a good question for you or if I should hold it for Don Kinsler, who is our horticultural specialist from NDSU. But the question is, he's planning to buy 2 apple trees next spring. One will go in the neighbor's backyard, one in his. How close should they be planted together? Or do you have a suggestion of an apple tree for this area? And this would be in Fargo.
Ooh, good question. I'd say Dawn is definitely the expert when it comes to that. I have heard that the trees don't have to be terribly close to each other, as long as the wind can take and pollinate the trees, or I think with apples, it's specifically the pollinators can go from one tree to the next fairly within the same area. I think that should be okay. I know NDSU Extension has some really great publications out there about specific tree cultivars that are suited for our climate, our soils, our region. And so I defer to Extension's resources for getting a recommendation on that.
I will make sure to hold this question for Don, so we just recap it here in a couple of weeks to make sure that, like you said, you've answered it with the basics, but maybe Don has a little finesse for us, and we'll see what Don has to share.
Definitely.
And the second question I had was in relation to, you mentioned damage that can happen to trees by Mother Nature. June 20th was a pretty rough day in North Dakota. We lost, I have a swear word that will describe how many loads of trees we lost. I live in Hunter, and it changed our landscape here drastically. Where do we start? Do you have some recommendations for tree plantings or grants for our parks, just to help refurbish our cities, and maybe even as homeowners? I mean, in our yard, we have a large flatbed trailer, and I hauled out 27 loads of debris. So I have a lot of trees to start replacing. What should we start doing?
That's a great question. We've definitely heard the same story across the landscape this past year, but also with the ice storm that we had back in, I think it was December 2023. It's definitely evidence of a changing climate, of these extreme weather events. And as far as where to start, if you're a private landowner, I would recommend reaching out to our forest stewardship team. On our website, if you go to ndsu.edu/ndfs/stewardship, there is a banner at the top that says request technical assistance. We're going to learn about your operation. We're going to learn where you're located, and you'll be reached out to by one of our staff to work on that one-on-one consultation. It's free completely. We just want to make sure that we're meeting your individual goals, providing you with resources and information on how to best manage your land, whether that is a private forest or a windbreak or trees around your farmstead. That's where I would recommend first. As far as community trees, if you are a community that has had some impact like that to their public trees, like in a park, for example, we do have a community forestry program that can offer technical assistance as well. We just wrapped up our fall grant sign up, and so we do have some funds. This past sign up was from the North Dakota legislator to mitigate the impacts of emerald ash borer. So a lot of it was taking trees out and then planting trees back that are a more diverse species. We just closed that one, so it's not available now, but we expect to have a spring grant cycle for our communities. And so I'd recommend reaching out to our community forestry staff if you are looking to plant trees in public spaces. We do have some grant funds for that. And then just in general, where to start, I would say if you are a homeowner or a private landowner, then just take a look at your landscape, see are there any immediate threats to the safety of you, your family, your home, your shed, whatever is high value to you. Take a look, see are there any trees and branches that should be removed. That would be first priority. um, I think if it's just overwhelming at first, take it step by step. Um, I know removal of trees can be quite costly, and so working with somebody with our agency to figure out what your first step is can help you figure it out and not leave you feeling like it's just this overwhelming mess. We can do step by step instruction for that.
And Beth, we've got I just got a question from one of our listeners here asking, is deforestation a cause of climate change?
That's a great question. I would say it definitely plays a part in it. When we think of our forests, they are a very big carbon sink. So that means they're taking in carbon dioxide from the air and they're pushing it down into organic matter into the soil. The grasses do a very similar thing, but trees are on a larger scale. And so by removing that carbon sink, we're having more carbon dioxide be in the air, and that can contribute to our greenhouse gases and things like that. So in short answer, I would say yes, it does have a part in it.
Okay.
Beth, along what you were discussing with tree branch removal, that really plays into overall tree health too, correct? I mean, just
Absolutely.
leaving something hang up there is a bit of a problem. So, kind of back to the same thing, that tree management is maybe a good aspect for homeowners and farmers to be thinking of as well, correct?
For sure. Yeah, when we look at our trees in our landscapes, whether it's a homeowner or a landowner, if you prune the tree early on, it's going to have a better shape, a better form later on in its life, and it's something that not as many people think about as they should. And so we do offer some pruning clinics across the state as well periodically. If there's one that you want in your community, definitely request it and we can put it on. Another great resource for that would be NDSU Extension. All of their extension agents are very knowledgeable in these topics too. And so if you're looking for somebody very local to you, each county has their own extension agent that has this knowledge base that they can help provide some recommendations to.
Beth, if you're doing those tree trimming clinics and you have press releases for them, don't be afraid to send those over to me via email and I will announce them
Yeah.
because I think we have a lot of rural community listeners that would be curious, and especially after some of the storms and wildfires we've had as of recently. So the role that North Dakota Forestry Service plays for farmers, rural communities is tremendous. And just thanks for joining us today to talk about trees.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always happy to talk about trees and fire prevention. And I do a lot with kids. And so it's just a passion of mine to help build that next generation and really just see a difference on the landscape as they get older too. So very fun. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, Beth, thank you so much again. And when we come back, we're going to have another recap of the weather. There's a little bit of shower activity just to the north of the FM area. Will that last into the evening hours for the trick-or-treaters? We'll have those answers and hit on a couple of ag topics when we come back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Friday, Halloween, the last day of October. We turn the calendar into November tomorrow. And don't forget this weekend, on Saturday night before you go to bed, make sure to fall back. So move your clocks back an hour, and also make sure to change those batteries and smoke detectors. That's also a good thing to remember to do. That is this weekend. And the weather this weekend looks kind of split. Mother Nature's got split personality this weekend with chilly weather on Saturday, but light winds, and windy conditions, but much warmer with low 60s on Sunday. So a little bit of something for everybody. Now, right now, there's rain on radar stretching from right around Grand Forks south through Hillsboro and Hunter area. It's all moving south-southwestward. So expect a few more showers to enter the FM area here over the next half hour or so, lasting probably till about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then that'll be out of the area, and just maybe a little drizzle or a few sprinkles for the trick-or-treaters. Also, we had a caller on when we were on break. I believe it was Judy. Was it Judy? Judy called asking, what is the weather going to be like for November 17th? And Judy, I've got all that in my office, so if you can shoot me an email, Judy, weather@flagfamily.com. Again, that's weather@flagfamily.com. I'll let you know what the weather looks like as we head towards mid-month. Right now, just at a quick glance from earlier this morning, it looked like that's about when we may start to turn cold and possibly a little stormy around mid-month. So, but again, yeah, shoot me an email and I'll dig up that information for you. At least there's no snow in the short term, Bridgette. So that's good news there.
Well, even if you say cold and stormier, doesn't mean we're looking at a bunch of snowfall at that point in time yet. I mean, there could be traces of snow and so forth. I'm holding steadfast to no snow until after Thanksgiving.
Wow, boy, I would not take that bet. I would definitely not take that bet. No way. No way.
I like to live on the edge, which also I don't live as nearly on the edge as you do. And for those who are watching on the live stream, I refuse to carry around all my spices and hold them that close to the chest, you might say, Dean.
Yeah.
So, no.
Well, and we had pizza here for Halloween in the break room, and I went in there and I said, "Would anybody like any spices on their pizza?" And they looked at me like I had a second head there. I was, like, what's going on?
Well, that's not the second thing. It's not the second head you have. It's the fact you're wearing a bra stuffed full of Mrs. Dash. So
yeah, see, it's a spice rack. That's what I went as for Halloween. So it's. I just want to know if I'm going to win.
You must live in a.
What's that?
Your neighborhood must be weird.
Oh.
I don't want to trick or treat.
You have no idea.
Good, really good.
So you want to hit some ag topics real quick?
Yeah, because remember now after Halloween, Hershey said they're going to start raising our chocolate prices, which is unfortunate because the holiday baking season is coming. But the chocolate makers, Hershey and Nestle, have been saying they weren't going to raise prices until after Halloween. And part of the reason for that increase, well, like 90% of the reason, is because a lot of the cacao beans are raised on the Ivory Coast, and they have had weather troubles, drought and so forth, and they haven't been harvesting very good crop as of late. And so that whole demand is way up. Supply is tight. And so we're going to see some increases in our beloved chocolates.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Bridgette, we've got Oscar on line one. Oscar, you got a question? What's going on?
Hi, kids. How are you today?
So far, so good.
Show. Years ago, I hauled a lot of veneer out of Canada and up way in the northeast out to California. And you're right. The rings in the trees will tell you each year the age. And what happened out there back in the industrial years that nobody realized what was going to happen. But what happens to so many of the trees, they absorbed all that pollution. So you have dark rings in the trees, and whether they slice it or peel it, most of the time the peeling, they can only go down to the dark years, then the rest of the wood is just kind of waste. So the trees will tell you a lot. if you cut one down and cut the end of it off and look at all the rings, you see the real dark
Oscar's
rings. Yeah,
Oscar, you've got a huge and a good point there, because when just last week, I think it was, or maybe it was the week before, I was talking about accumulator plants that they can use for mining, where there are certain plants that are really good at taking up like nickel and so forth. And so it's easier to plant, I believe that was daisies, that were then going to accumulate um, the nickel, and then they could mine that, which was much cheaper and more reasonable and less environmentally destructive than if they were doing traditional mining practices. So really, you're right. Trees are an accumulator as well. They were absorbing all that pollution, because remember, in the 80s, we were all going to die of acid rain. And then in the 90s, it was my Aquanet putting a hole in the ozone layer. So one way or the other, I'm out of here.
well, I'm talking back, back into the 1900s and all these years,
Yep.
Because I remember, like
Yep,
Pittsburgh, you couldn't even see the town because of all the smoke,
Absolutely.
And yeah, but the trees absorbed all that, and we didn't realize it what was happening until it was way too late. But I got a real good one for you. Ladybugs, real quick. When they brought the Japanese ladybug over here for the beans, they were just
Yeah, Oscar, we're out of time, buddy. I'm sorry, but call back on Monday.
Call us Monday.
Call us on Monday, Oscar. So for Bridgette, myself, want to thank everybody for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. Have a great Halloween, but don't go anywhere yet. The Jay Thomas Show with a surprise on his show. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. That's all coming up next.